Hey, we're doing something we've never done before. A welded stainless steel floating logo. We're going to light it from underneath with LEDs. It's going to sit on a distressed hot rolled steel background riveted to a square tube frame, none of which we've ever done before. What could go wrong? Stand by. All right, so we're off to the races with a new project, and this project has its beginnings in this little tiny sticker, which is sitting on this. To give you a sense of scale, this is that little aluminum cube that I built as a skill exercise, and this came into my possession. This is a new logo for a church in our area that I just happened to attend, and I instantly saw this and I went, hey, this has got, square-ish corners. It's boxy. There's not like a lot of curves to it. I could probably do something with this, with the skills that I have. So I sat down and, for a couple of days I kind of thought it over. And initially what I did, I scanned this in to the computed Au.Ra and was able to come up with this. And the first thing that I needed to do is I needed to find out relationships between these different pieces, between the size of this, because I wanted to replicate this just on a bigger scale. And so what I ended up doing was math. Oh! And from that, I was able to say, if this is 4 inches, then this is 15.5 inches, and this is 12 inches, and this is 6.7 inches, and there's an inch in between. And then if I give 5 inches on either side of that, then that brings me up to a 24 by 24 inch piece. And so I got to thinking some more, and then I started doing more math to try to figure out how to scale things up. We're going to make a frame out of tube steel, and then we're going to put a piece of hot rolled steel on top of that. And to give it kind of an industrial look, I'm going to affix some rivets on equidistant around the perimeter. Again, it will most certainly hold it, but it will also, again, lend to this kind of look, because I want this grungy, dirty kind of background, because these parts are going to be made of stainless steel. And then we're going to make a box, an open box. So the sides of this are going to be the same length here, but they're going to be 2 inches tall. We're going to weld that all up together. And then through some machinations, we're going to float those off the surface. And then we are going to install some LED strips on the inside there. And we are then going to light those so that you can plug it in. You can buy these nifty little kits today that come with LED strips and remote controls, and you can, change colors and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's kind of what is going on here. And so I tried really hard to learn Fusion 360 in a week, and I'm on this flat part, you're stupid learning part of the learning curve, and there's just not enough hours in the day for me to do everything. So I had to sacrifice something. I was able to sit down and sketch this out and get think of all these different design elements how we're going to hang it, how we're going to affix the transformers and the light controller, how we're going to drill through so that we can mount the infrared receiver so that we can receive the signals from the remote, how we're going to affixate things in there. This took me about an hour to do with a ruler and a pencil. So that's the plan, at least. And so I went to the store and worked with my local metal supplier and came back with a chunk of metal. So we reset stuff and we'll talk about that. So one of the things that I did and that I like to do, if I'm unsure of how something's going to work, or if I just, because I'm a very visual, I'm a very physical kind of person. If I was going to propose this to somebody and without building a full-sized piece, then I would do a mock-up just like this. So we'll flip this over. This is the steel tubing that I'm making the frame out of. You don't have to do something this big, but I want this to have some heft and some substance to it, just from a visual point of view. So I'm going to use 2-inch square tubing. You can see it's welded together here, and then I'm not going to cap this because, again, I want this kind of industrial raw sort of feel to this background here. And then this is just a piece of 16 gauge 16 gauge steel that I had that I think will work out and is kind of representing where I'm wanting to go. These are the rivets that I've talked about incorporating. There's going to be some sort of a reveal. I don't know that it's going to be exactly this much of a reveal around the perimeter. And then our stainless steel is going to go over on the top. Something kind of like this is going to float off the top and be suspended and then again the LEDs will be up on the inside of it, so you kind of get an indication of what it's going to look at. But that's the mock-up. More than likely, I'm going to split this piece of angle in two and equidistant them out there, so that way they will have 2 points to be able to mount this up on this wall. Down here, this is just a RGB LED controller box, and this has got a couple of things. It's going to supply power to our LED strip, and then it's also going to allow us to position an IR sensor so that we can use the remote. We'll just drill a hole down through here into the bottom, and then we'll sink that so that it just sits a little bit like that, just so that you can, point the remote control and make it do whatever people make them do. We use these all the time when we're building sets for the church or for school theater or stuff like that. You can do all kinds of stuff with them. They're relatively inexpensive. So then I'll show you the plate. Yeah, that's a plate. 16 gauge hot rolled steel, and we're going to work on getting this kind of industrial, rusty looking. If you guys have got a favorite solution that you use, why don't you put that down in the comments below the sermon notes, and just so that you can share with the rest of us. So here's part of the graphic design element that's going to go down like this. And this is brushed stainless, and again the grain is running this direction, and this is the side. So again, we're going to weld a box like such. It'll be open on the back, and then these sides are 2 inches, and what I'm thinking about doing is using a 3-inch, couple of 3-inch sections of this. This is called lamp pipe. And it's just a hollow tube. This is what you build lamps with it. So what the current thought is, it's going to come up through this steel. We're going to nut and bolt it down here. Then we're going to have a plate that's going to go on top of these little pipes. That'll be nut and bolted as well, as flush down as we can get it. And then we'll do some testing too. We may just end up welding that top part on there so that we can have the top of that flush. And then we will use that super sticky, that UHB, I think it's called, adhesive on the back of there, so that we can then just set that on top. It's going to appear to be floating. We'll drill a hole in the sides of one of these, and then the wires that we're going to have to do to get these LEDs connected will come through that tube, and then it will light the inside of that. So that's currently the plan. As we all know, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. So I expect there to be possibly a revision. All right, let's get to work on our frame. So all I want to do is make a box, a square. Is this the way to do it? I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to tack all over the place, like here, and then on the inside, and then on the inside, and then we'll possibly flip it and see if we can do that again. I'm at, we'll put it at 95. We're not going to use that much. I'm at probably 18 CFH. I got a 332 electrode on a number 8, just a standard cup. Nothing fancy. All right, there's the first part. All right, well, it's fairly square and fairly flat at this point, so I guess we're just gonna continue on and get the backside tacked up. All right, we're tacked up on both sides. We're still flat. We're still pretty darn square. And so now, if I understand this right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this this joint first. Then I'm going to jump over. I'm going to weld this one. Then I'm going to weld this one. And then I'm going to weld this one. That's the way I understand it. That way I hopefully equally distribute all my heat. And you know, for these, I'm an old man. I think I'm going to get a chair and sit down. Again, if I understand this correctly, we're going to go back We're going to go back to here. I'm going to weld this one. I want to say that's inside to outside. Flip it, then weld the other side inside to outside, so that these two are getting ornery with each other. And then we'll go to this corner, then we'll go to this corner, then we'll go to this corner. If you're an old timer, or even just a plain experienced guy when it comes to this, you're probably just laughing your butt off. Because I'm struggling with stuff and trying to figure stuff out that that is secondhand, and you probably don't even think about it. But you know, there are those of us who are just super young at it, and just trying to figure it out. Oh, it's hard to, well, forgot, now I got a weld in that corner. Well, Augie dog. Can't believe it. I hope you found this episode educational or entertaining, or maybe even both. You might want to check this one out as well. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified when new videos drop, and if you got comments, make sure you put them down beneath the sermon notes. Thanks for hanging out with us here at the RATTLECAN Fab Shop. Y'all have a good one. Cheers.